haven't done one of these in a while. I'm starting another vlog series for my second final major project for the course I'm on, because last time I did this, I was on a previous course, which was 3 years ago. This is a new course, I'm in the second year, and this is the second final major project of that. And these are going towards uni and stuff like that. I'm hoping to do this vlog journal thing every 2 days, because I'm going to assume that I'll probably end up doing less work in one day or the next day than I would if I just spent an entire day, or maybe I'll end up just one entire day not doing any work, but the next day will. So every 2 days at least. Sorry for the shake. I will be moving to my other camera, which isn't, like, again, not great quality, not much better quality than the laptop, but it'll shake less. I just need to dig up the charger. Complexion not as good as it was 3 years ago, but not the point. This FMP, which stands for Farmage Project. We can do whatever we like, so long as we do the research, brief, just do everything, as well as record a journal of some kind, written or filmed. So be going on my blog. That's something I have now, a Tumblr blog, a bunch of them. A website which I did a while ago, a very long while ago. I haven't done many. Well, actually, it looks completely different now, but now there's lots of extra bits, as well as links to all those Tumblr blogs. I'm going to add some more to it now, as well as links in the description, which will direct you to those. But, alright, so I think I should probably start with the idea that I have for my FarmMateShip project. What I do with all of my projects, each one I try something different or new, or expand on something I've already done already. I'm going to be doing one of each. I'm going to try something new, and I'm going to expand on something. You'll find more of the stuff that I have been doing on, well, I've been uploading periodically to the channel, as well as this stuff which I think you can find on my DeviantArt account, which I just have because it would take too long to make a gallery on my website. It really takes me ages, so it's just easier to have a link. And something I've done before, which I didn't really like much, but something which I could do better if I try and not do as many things as I did before. That was 3D model animation, which I've been doing with Cinema 4D. Before I did cyborg animals on a large scale, which looked awful. The idea looks great on paper because my drawing skills are very good. My drawing skills are better than on paper than it is digitally, or making models of that. It's very cartoony. What I mean, cartoons may not look good in 3D, but it depends how well you work with it. So it didn't look great. It's something I want to do better at. Not that I want to go directly into that. I still prefer images, 2D stuff, but being able to make something 3D is also very useful, because I could also 3D print that. That's something I did recently with what was this? 2 projects ago, I think. Yeah, 2 projects ago it was. When I 3D printed 2 spiral shapes using clear plastic, using the college's 3D printer, and I painted 4 of the 8 so they looked green using Warhammer paint, so it was slightly gem-like, and that was put towards a sort of replica time machine model from H.G. Wells' A Time Machine. I say sort of because I did go through the book. There was nothing specific. They didn't say what the shape was or anything. It just said it had brass railings, as well as twisted quartz And the green bit was my idea because I had at the time watched, um, what was it? It was game theory on the Master Emeralds and how they were actually quartz, but well, technically still quartz because it has all the same properties. However, ironically, green quartz, which can only be green because it has to be irradiated, is, well, because of that, more rare. So I assumed, well, I tried implementing that into the design, as in, well, you have clear quartz and you got green quartz. And anyway, if I expand on 3D modeling, I could do better, and it would look better if I could maybe make something, print it out using 3D printer, and put that towards my work, which I think I will do. But what I majorly want to do is 3D model animating. So what I'll be doing is, so I just realised I skipped that too quickly. So that's something I'm expanding on, 3D model and animation. What I want to try new are holograms, which very much exist. In case nobody has picked up on this yet, you could literally buy an attachment for your mobile phone for £2 something, free postage from Hong Kong, on both Amazon and eBay for your mobile phone, which it's essentially just a glass plasticish pyramids that you put on top of your phone. You play a special video which will, using light refraction or reflection, project the images on the video onto the sides of the pyramid. And just look up the words hologram pyramids on any store page or shop, and you'll find it easily. It's very easy. You can get it very cheap. You can get better ones. You can get iPad ones. Something I want to look at is making one that's big enough for a Mac or something, like a Macintosh computer, but I think I keep finding drawbacks. It's just going to be too much, because the way this pyramid works is it could either the way the pyramid works is the tip of it, so it feels like this, then the tip of it would be where the screen has to be, which would mean that either it would be an upside down pyramid with the video underneath, which would be a lot safer, or you build this elaborate frame to hold the screen on top of the pyramid facing down, and then you could see, of course, the pyramid a lot easier because you're looking down at the flat face rather than the opposite, which is not as easy. Although I am thinking about ways around that, such as just putting it on a high level so you can look up at it. It's much easier to see, of course, the underside of a pyramid if you're looking up at it, which goes without saying. But it's very easy. The only complicated bit is making the video, because the way it works is you have the video, essentially have this cross, and the video has to be of the same thing but from different sides, front, back, left and right, and then put correspondingly into that cross. And then it would, well, reflect onto it, and it would look like there's a hologram inside of the pyramid, and that's how it works. It's absurdly easy. There's tutorials for it, for making the pyramid out of CD cases. Like I said, you could buy it for £2 something for your mobile phone from Amazon or eBay. It's just stupidly easy. So yeah, that's the two things I want to do. I want to get better at 3D animation, and I want to try holograms because it just looks more impressive. And I did hear that one of the students at college, at the course I was on, did do that. So it isn't super original, but I don't suspect it's super common either. So that would give me some kind of leverage, I hope. Um, 10 minutes. I'm glad I haven't just been babbling about nothing. I've actually been talking about the project, which I assumed was what was happening before years ago. Just talked about nothing for ages. Um, the actual idea of what I'm going to be making is I've had just a small idea, which I thought, well, it's coming up to the beginning of the FMP. I'll put it off because something I always do is I think of an idea. It sounds at the beginning of almost every project as well. I think of an idea, and whilst they're talking about it and telling us the brief on the big board, I am just. They want us to stop and progressively develop the idea, but my mind overthinks the same idea, gets excited, and suddenly, without writing anything down, right there at the beginning when they're setting the tasks, I'm already at the finished idea. And usually I forget how I got there, so I had to sort of suppress the idea, the thought I had in my head, for when I do this. And the idea is it's slightly game theory-ish, but I really want to try and depart from being too similar to other things, which you'll see in a moment. The idea is if a person, a lot like Mega Man, this is what I want to try and depart from and not take design similarities from too much. What if a person like Mega Man replaces his entire forearm with a Mega Buster, or the equivalent, so a big weapon? I have been looking into some stuff about plasma and technology, and people have made, I think it was University of Missouri in America, they did make a sort of plasma gun which can shoot plasma for I think half a tenth of a second, I think it was, to up to 10 feet. In their lab, and it wasn't like a super expensive setup. Apparently, it was really easy, and it doesn't take massive coils. So I'm gonna keep looking into that, researching that. But I also want to look into just other big weapons, having a big minigun for an arm, that sort of thing. Mainly because I want this design to look interesting. I want it to look bulky when I start adding more stuff to it, as well as some kind of kickback. And this is where I'm getting to. If this person had their entire arm replaced with a big heavy weapon, I'd imagine on its own it would just be a man trying to drag this big lump of metal from his elbow down, just trying to pick it up, trying to drag it, anything. And it would be really difficult for them. And that would be the main idea. It's a sort of series of prototypes and advancements trying to develop it and evolve the idea. There'll be different versions of the same character. Maybe I'll get my dad some to voice over it. He's got like a... He's an adult. His voice, whatever. It'll work if he did it. And it would be... it would be... So, there's the first person. He's got this big old metal thing in his arm and he's trying to drag it. The next one would be, well, we've given him this exoskeleton, which looks a lot like the ones which we have now for people who don't have use to their legs. It's a skeleton which sits on the outsides of their legs, and because they're all strapped in, it forces them to stand up and it walks for them, and it looks great. I do remember one of the judges for the new series of Robot Wars, when it first started, or came back rather, I can't remember his name, but he's got a beard, and he said he wanted, when he was old, to have one of these and start kicking teenagers. So that's the sort of design-ish I'm looking for. I'm going to do some modifications to the design, the idea, so it looks a little bit different. Maybe add some wires. It would look like one of the... Oh, that's something to look at. The first few robots which are programmed to walk. they were usually put onto um, treadmills, and they would be suspended so they wouldn't fall over. But they usually had these um, massive backpacks in abundance of wires draped all over them, connecting everything up as they walked in place. And that's kind of what I'm going for to begin with. I think at the end it's going to be a finished, sleek design because they've mastered everything. So that would be the next bit. There'll be some kind of exoskeleton. Sorry, it gets sorry. The difference between the words endo and exo is exterior, which means outside. Endo would mean interior, which is inside. So because the skeleton is of course going on the outside, it's exoskeleton. I thought I'd make that clear. Not that it really needs to be made clear. It's basic English, but I don't know. Might as well say it. I'll write it down somewhere. Just definitions, something. And so yeah, now he's got this skeleton thing, which is helping him pick it all up and walk around. And I think the next part would be power. That's it. Would be power. So I'm been looking into the plasma weapon thing first, and there was already a video on the Fallout 4 plasma rifle and how plasma would work, and if it were to disintegrate stuff, it would need, I think it was just as much or more power than the most powerful. There's a dam in, I think it was Beijing, and it holds something 100 megawatts, 25,000 I think it was, and it stores that much, and for a plasma weapon to do that much damage, just disintegrate something, it would require more than that. I think that was it anyway. And that's something I've been having to try and look into if I was to keep the idea of using a plasma weapon, then I would need to look into power. But unfortunately, I looked at the video from the University of Missouri. It didn't look like there was any kickback, which is something I want to have in my design, so I could add more on top of it. Even though, yes, if it's an experiment, you would want it to be the most efficient as possible, it just seems much more interesting if you had to counteract so many other forces. So, some people might have seen those epic fail videos of a soldier with a bazooka or RPG, and they fire it and it just slips out of their hands or something like that. There's just a massive force behind it. Excuse me. And that's the kind of thing I want to put into the design so I can add more to it. Oh look, he can pick up the weapon now because he's got this exoskeleton helping him. But now he needs to stop himself from falling backwards under the pressure, because everything's going to be too heavy for him anyway. It's just the exoskeleton that's keeping him standing. So one idea which was also linked in my head, which was practically phase 2 or phase 3, because I had already started thinking about another idea for the exoskeleton before I did any kind of research, and it looked more like the big metal shoulder pads that I think it was M. Bison from Street Fighter had, but that went towards his shoulder reinforcement rather than, oh wow, it's really powerful, it fires and then it breaks his entire shoulder. Well, this is the next version. Now that won't happen. The other idea of the anti-kickback would be too powerful, bit like the hook shot or the grappling hook. It would shoot 2 or maybe more tension wires or something, just metal wires using high pressure, it would stick into the ground, and it would hold him from falling backwards. If anything, if he were to shoot behind him with those tendrils the opposite way, the ropes, then he'll just fly the other way, and then probably stop if the I'm gonna finish that sentence because I just started reminding myself of another way I could put it. What tents have the pitching? I'll look up the name, but whenever you have a tent, you would always have these ropes or ropes that would keep it from flying other directions, and you would hit the pegs into the ground. It would keep everything secure. That's the kind of idea I had for another way of the weapon not having this powerful kickback, and those are just some of the ideas I've had. It reminds me of other things, specifically RoboCop 2, when at the beginning, somewhere around the beginning, they were showing lots of prototypes or different versions for OCP Corp's RoboCop 2, the better version of RoboCop, but they all ended up just killing themselves or exploding or malfunctioning, which was funny actually, despite how grim one of them was when it took its helmet off and it was just a bloody skull. And that's not swearing, it's just bloody. It's morbid, but I found it hilarious because humor. I can't really explain it. The better people explain. I'm sick. There we go. That's easier. So those are the ideas I've had. So I'm still looking into these plasma weapons as well as different kinds of prosthetics. Which there are a lot of different designs for prosthetics, come very cool designs, as well as literal skeleton hands, which again looks really cool to me. In fact, I'll say it here, but I'm going to be sticking it on my blog anyway. There are soldiers who, of course, have prosthetic legs, usually from, very commonly from the knee downwards. And when they're sitting down and aiming a sniper, they can just bend this prosthetic leg back and use it as a rest for the gun. And that's a really interesting idea. I love it. Whenever I think about prosthetics, I usually think about a very heavy utility sci-fi version. And I usually get drawn back to what Johnny Five had from the movie Short Circuit, which was, it wasn't part of his arm, it was part of his body, because it wasn't super sci-fi, even though he was a robot with a soul. It was made by humans, so it was very, stainless steel and whatnot. It was very refined to bare bones. His head looks like squared binoculars, that kind of thing. And he had this, I'm not sure how to describe it, maybe barrel. It was like a massive kind of pocket knife. So it had a very interesting look to it. Imagine you've got this regular cylinder with indents in them. So you could have all these different tools on it, much like a Swiss Army knife, and they all flip out when he needs them, and it rotates when he wants to get to another one. That's the kind of thing I'd imagine being on the wrist or the forearm of a super sci-fi utility prosthetic arm for a cyborg. Just, you need it, maybe a panel opens, the entire inside of your forearm rotates, and then it comes out. I suppose a little bit like the Spanner from, I've forgotten his name now, but he's the main character from the Blue Sky movie Robots, and he would yeah, he was to repair the robots and he was to keep his tools in his arm compartments. So a little bit like that. Um, so that's the sort of that's the ideas. The idea I'm going on. The actual look of the hologram when it's done, it's going to be, well, there's the person, it's going to be animated. I'm going to try and put more time into this one model, which of course I'll add more and more to over time, and design it so it's in my comedic kind of style. The ground will only be a transparent grid. That's not a very good description, because it's transparent, you can't really see it. If you've ever played, I think it was Halo 3 or Halo Reach, just go with Halo Reach. Halo Reach has a great level, it's called Forge World. It's you can build so much stuff. It's got like preset buildings, and something it has is you can have 2 in each level. It's a massive grid, and it's imagine a chessboard, except it's nice and thin, and it looks like it's made out of glass, and it's blue. Something like that, except less space in between the grids, but it's still going to look somewhat sci-fi, like a simulation. That's what I'm going with for the hologram. It'll look like a simulation. Meanwhile, when I need, say when we get to the part where, oh look, he's picked up the weapon, here's the kickback, he flies backward, that's when I want to get the model and make him disappear as he goes off screen, and that'll be a little bit more interesting. So the hologram is always rotating around this one patch of grid, whilst every so often the person who's, actually, now that I think about it, if I'm going to do that, it'd probably be more help if I green screens. Yeah, if I green screens the model doing everything it needs to on top of the rotating grids, then that could help a lot more with keeping in sync. Unless I'll find some way to keep it in sync, because I've always had troubles with, well, I always think ahead with, if you've got with Cinema 4D, you have a timeline, look like After Effects or Premiere Pro, except I don't know how to extend it, so I've got 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 10, probably 10 seconds of animation I could do before it ends, because I need to look up if I can extend it, and if I can't, I'll have to look into a way to splice together the different clips of, here's the man on screen struggling to pick it up, he fades away and then fades to the next person, but it's got to look seamless, so the grid has to just keep turning and not look like it's being impeded by clips which have been cut up being put into one timeline. Nonetheless, if I did make the grid disappear along with the model, then when it comes back I have to make it look like it's in sync, which is a lot easier than making the grid stay present the entire time. Anyway, so there's the ideas I've had. It's been almost half an hour. That's the starting point. I guarantee from this point onwards, unless something big happens, it's not going to be as interesting or as informative as this vlog, because I'm just going to be talking about, this is the stuff I've looked at, not unless I've looked at a lot of stuff. But it's not going to be as much of 30 minutes. It's just been a bunch of everything all at once. It's going to be, I've started research. These are things I've looked at, and that's going to be it. It's probably going to be much more boring. Although, once I get to designing, which I might even do early, because I want to at least do it whilst I still have motivation. Well, not even motivation. Beginning ambition. I'm very, very ambitious at the beginning of every project, and as it goes on, and I'm working on it more and more, and I'm running into more problems, or things are slowing down, or I'm running out of things to do, or things are taking too long, I just slowly start feeling less and less motivated. Like, I just want it to be over. I've had a lot of fun. The idea was amazing to me to begin with. I had so much motivation. And then after a while, you get a little bit sick of it. Because even though you're almost done, you might have a lot of criticism towards it, and you might have made a lot of mistakes which you regret. You know you can't get back to. There's not enough time. It's it puts you off when you get way too far into it, and we've got a long time. We've got until March or May. Something off topic, which is still to do with college and university, is a few days ago I got an email from my chosen university, Anglia Ruskin, which I'm very happy with, and I'm going to set up an interview for way into March, because I could do it in February, but we've got a whole field trip to New York at the beginning of March, and if I leave the interview until after the trip, then I can add more stuff from the New York trip into my portfolio, and I can have my tutors help me out to make a really good portfolio. And I was thinking, because I am choosing to go on to a video game design course, I want to look at my previous work and make newer versions of it specifically for video games. So turn some locations into actual locations in a game, as well as maybe rearrange it a little bit so it fits with particular genre styles, such as churches. Not churches, the Penguin Church I did in my last project, which that's an awkward one because I need to explain that now. I'll leave a link to my website anyway, the Tumblr link that will take you to Tumblr 4. I think it was, Tumblr 4 is the Tumblr which will tell you all about my Penguin Church idea, religion. It's crazy and stupid. I made a Penguin Bible. I didn't actually, now that I think about it, I didn't even come up with a name for the Penguin Bible. I just called it a Bible as a placeholder name. I suppose Squawk Squawk was my official name, because I did invent a way that penguins speak, and that is just like English, except every space is a comma, and every syllable is a squawk. Spaces, of course. So, Bible is squawk squawk. So turning the Penguin Church I made into a level, or turning characters that I've drawn before into, well, other characters. There was my last FMP, which was on here anyway, where I had the giant cyborgs and stuff. I could rework them into sprites and make a fighting game, because, well, there's plenty of those already. There's games like Rampage, which is a lot of fun. I've only played the Wii version, which I had so much fun with it. I've not played that in years because we lost it. That happened with our Wii games a lot. I miss Smash Brothers Brawl. I'm starting to go off onto tangents now, talking about uni and what's not. There's not really much else to talk about it. But I could add more stuff for my FMP that I'm doing now into my portfolio if I waited till later in March. So those are all. That's everything I've got to say. Better not to just keep talking because it's all Jesus time. I'm gonna stop there. So